This video was made possible with support from viewers like you. If you find this video useful, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/FastGadgets. Welcome back, Gadgeteers. Today I want to talk about the 5 features on the MacBook Pro that I wish they still had on the new MacBook Pros. So behind me I have 3 computers here. I've got my Lenovo Yoga 920, I have the MacBook Pro 2017, and the MacBook Pro 2008, which is almost 10 years older than the 2017, but there's some great features in it I wanted to discuss, and I'm going to start right off with the ones that I missed the most, and then we'll go down until we get to the ones that I can live without for the most part. Okay, number 1. The activity light. If you look on the front here, we have a clear activity light. At least that's what I call it. Basically, it tells us that this particular system is in suspend mode. Isn't that nice? I can actually see that the computer right now is in suspend mode. I don't need to find out whether it's off or whether it's in suspend because I have that feature right there. Let's look at the 2017. Now, keep in mind my 2017 has a clear case on it. I don't see any light in the front or on the sides or the back. I know. I'll just go ahead and open it up. That'll tell me if it's in suspend mode or not. Okay, seriously? So if I open it up, it turns on? That's exactly what it did. This is a little bit annoying for me, that I actually have to open the lid to find out if my system is in suspend mode or if it's actually turned off. And ironically, it turns itself on. Now, I grant, I'm sure there's a way to fix this so that the unit, and I'm going to go ahead and shut down again. I'm sure there's a way to change the settings so that it doesn't wake up every time you open the MacBook Pro. I hope it's easy. I haven't actually bothered to do it, but I find that a very annoying feature. Speaking of which, my second favorite feature of the older MacBook Pros. On the bottom here, I have a battery indicator light that tells me what the status of my battery is. There we go. Battery status, 100%. All I have to do is press the button. What about the MacBook Pro 2017? Any lights there? Any buttons on the bottom? No buttons on the side. Looks like I'm just SLL about that. I'm just going to have to live with the fact that I have to open the MacBook Pro, let it turn on, boot all the way up, and then I'll find out how much battery is left in my MacBook Pro 2017. I really missed that feature. Number 3, the MagSafe. And it's not for the reason you think. Here I have a power supply for the MacBook Pro 2008, and you can see that it definitely has the MagSafe connector. Now, if I go ahead and unroll this connector and connect it to the MagSafe link, you know, of course, that it's very easy to pop off. And if, for example, you walk by and there's an accident, the cable will pop right off. Now, that's a good reason to like the MagSafe connector, but my reason for liking the MagSafe connector might surprise you. I'm going to put this power supply aside and pull out the power supply for the Apple MacBook Pro 2017. So, the thing about this particular system is that it's USB-C. And you can see the cable's very standard, but ironically, when I plug it into the port, what I've found has been happening is the port is actually becoming more and more loose over time. So basically I'll be working and the cable will simply fall out. Now the second port's a little bit tighter, but not by much. Now you might be saying, yes, but Mark, it's probably the cable. I think you might be wrong. Well, that's a good thing to think about and certainly worth trying, and that's one of the reasons I have the Lenovo Yoga 920 here. It also has USB ports, USB-C I should say, ports on the side. So I'm going to plug the cable in and we're going to see how it fits on this system. Notice how tight it fits, and I'm tugging quite hard. Now some of you may say it's actually by design that Apple wants the cable to come out easily because it replaces the MagSafe connector in that particular functionality. But I've found that originally, and see, it takes a little bit to get it out of the Lenovo Yoga 920. And if you're thinking, well, this is a newer system, I actually tested it in my Yoga 910 as well, which is still perfectly fine. Here's the thing about the connector on the MacBook Pro 2017. It actually used to be very tight. So we have to consider that a design failure. I would rather have it just a little bit tighter because while I'm working, many times I'll discover that the cable's unplugged and then I have to plug it back in. Now, it does make a sound when it becomes unplugged provided you have the audio up high enough, but most of the time I have the audio down low and you can see the cable just pops right out where before it didn't. And it's not the cable because we just tested it in another system and it's fine. Albeit the cables can wear out, so there is that. So the MagSafe connector, number 3. Number 4, and this always escapes me, why Apple chose to do this. On the power supply, we used to have a beautiful, intelligent feature where we would pop up the 2 corners and then we could wrap the cable around it so that you don't have this big mess. Now, let's have a look at the MacBook Pro 2008 power supply. Notice that it has these tiny little tabs that you can pop out of the corner and wrap the small cable around. Notice also you can wrap the large cable around and then wrap the small cable around the tabs so that you hold all the cable in. Of course, I know what you're thinking, but we don't have the small cable anymore. So clearly we no longer need the tabs. Is that true though? Because we could take off this cabling and then we could still wind the cable here on the little tabs. Now here's an even neater thing. At the very end of the cable is a tiny rubber clasp. Let's see if you can see that. So once I pull the cable tight, all I have to do, see if I can get more of the cable and less of my finger, is give it a gentle push. Okay, maybe a little more than gentle. And it pops on and holds on the power supply cable so that it doesn't come unwound. Very efficient, very neat. Probably doesn't cost all that much, I'm thinking, and works brilliant. This versus this. You decide. Now here's the thing. You could theoretically take the cable, and I do at times, wrap it around the unit, and maybe push the cable into and underneath, like so. But here's what scares me. Notice that end sticking out. Now I grant that you can replace these cables, the USB-C cables here. However, you can see the bend of that cable and the fact that the rubber boot is already stretched quite significantly, I suppose I could unplug it from here as well and push this end in here, one way or the other, because I really want to have the cable with the power supply. But what a pain that is. And the cable, of course, can, although it's rubberized, slide right off very easily and get lost. So you want to make sure that you're very careful and you put these in a pouch in a backpack or whatever type of bag that you have for your computer, so that you don't accidentally lose that cable, because it can come off pretty easy. Elegant design versus minimal design to save more on that precious margin. And that's what this is all about, is saving money on the margin. Number 5, and my last one. Actually, I'm going to call this, let's say number 5. Right here. Look at that. I think this is a very important thing to have. Now, most of you may say, nonsense, everybody's using Wi-Fi, but when you're doing testing in information technology in the field, this is precious. This right here allows you to plug into a switch, to a router, to use a bypass cable, a crossover cable, and plug into another system. You can plug into any piece of equipment, and it's very, very handy to have. Would I expect to see it on the MacBook Pro 2017? Probably not. After all, it is pretty thin, but for me it is an important feature that I really do like. Now, many of you are going to disagree with that one, but to me it is important. Last one, bonus round, number 6. Do we have any USB-A ports? No, we don't. The 2017 here is a base model, so it actually only has 2 USB-C ports. Not a huge deal. I have a dongle and I use it quite frequently, and it's really not that bad to use. But I have to admit, when I pull out the Yoga 920 and we spin it around and we see we've got 2 USB-C ports there, plus, of course, an audio jack. But what's on the other side? On a brand new system, what's this? A USB-A port. And look what's in it. I've got my memory drive in there. Memory drive, yeah, right. Thumb drive in there. So this is a brand new system, and it's a simple matter for me to be able to grab any USB-A type device. And in this case, this is a 128 gigabyte. No, I'm sorry, this one's the 32 gigabyte, but I have a 128 gigabyte cruiser fit USB 3.0 thumb drive that's very fast and doesn't stick out hardly at all. And this brand new computer is designed with a USB-A port. And again, it's okay to have the USB-C ports. They're fine. I can manage with these with a dongle, but I really, really like and really use the USB-A port quite frequently. And I find that, and I don't think you're probably that surprised, this system is my go-to system. Now, I'm a little bit prejudiced. I use Linux most of all out of all the operating systems, and this one has a big enough SSD to let me boot into Linux or Windows. So I really like this system, but the ports keep me coming back. There's no mistaking it. I do like the MacBook Pro, and at some point I'll release a video on and do an update on the MacBook Pro 2017 and why I still have it and whether or not I'm going to sell it. But the fact is, would it really have killed them that much to fit a USB-A port over here along with the headphone jack? And why didn't they? Well, the answer is quite simple. When you think about the design of the MacBook Pro, and what their thinking was when they made this particular system. It was all about that bottom line, about margins. If you don't include a USB-C port, you're able to save quite a bit of money in that particular design. The less hardware change and adaptation that you have to do or commit to, the less expensive the unit is going to be. And that also includes the handy dandy suspend light on the front, as well as the battery light, which lets you know if the unit is charged or if you shouldn't even try booting it up, say if you didn't have the power supply with you. Now, many of you may say, why would you not have the power supply with you? When I carry my computer, when I go to college to do my teaching, I do not take the power supply with me because I'm trying to lighten the load as much as possible, and many of the textbooks that I have to carry in my backpack are extremely heavy. So instead of carrying the power supply, I leave it at home and I depend on the battery to actually get me through the day, which is usually not an issue whatsoever. But it would be nice to know, maybe I forgot to charge the unit, and I could just press a button really quickly and find out if it has enough battery and whether or not I can even use it for the day. Hopefully I do remember to charge it, otherwise I'm in trouble. Does that mean we should go back to the old MacBook Pro 2008 with its myriad ports, many of which we probably wouldn't use anymore today? No, I don't think so, but I think when we think of design, and don't mind the big dent on the side of this unit, I think there is potential to add what the user needs, and listening to user needs I think is very important. Now, I've heard from many users saying that the one thing they would like to see on this MacBook Pro is a memory card slot. And I don't really use that all that much, but if you're using a professional camera, it actually makes a whole lot of sense to me on why you would need that memory card slot. So consider that a distant number 7, but I could see the reasoning for having that particular feature. I hope you enjoyed my look at the MacBook Pro 2017 and 2008 and features that I missed on the new MacBook Pro and wish was there. If you did, give me a like and subscribe, and hopefully consider sharing. And as always, drop a comment and let me know what features you miss on your MacBook Pro. Thanks for watching.